Today I'm going to show you how to fully restore your car headlights, removing all that oxidation in just 3 simple steps without having to use different grades of sandpaper. Quick heads up, this is not your average restoration video. The final step comes with a twist, some important information and a warning, so stay tuned to the end. To do the job, you're going to need some compounding pads. You can buy them individually or you can buy them like I did as a set. It was about 20 something quid on Amazon. Came with all the pads, all the attachments and fittings, and it also came with the buffing pads that you'll need for stage 2. To go with this job, you're going to need to get some cutting compound from your local parts shop. This bottle was about €15 and it's a litre, so it will last a very long time. You'll also need a drill to drive them all with for stage 1 and 2. Before you go on to stage 3, you're going to need some rubbing alcohol. I don't have any, so I'm using hand sanitizer, which is 70% alcohol, to clean down the lenses before stage 3, and paper towels to do that with also. For stage 3, you're going to need a can of clear coat to protect the lenses, as they will slowly reoxidize over time if left exposed to the air. That just protects them, meaning that your restoration will last years. For stage 1, I'm going with the orange pad from the kit as it's the most dense. Get some of the cutting compound and apply it to the pad, and also apply to the lens, and by hand just rub it along. This is messy and you just splash it around everywhere, and then just slowly spread it around the lens, making sure that there's nowhere that's not covered before we start firing up the drill. And for this bit, we're just going to continue across the lens in circular motions. Don't hold it on one area for too long, and making sure that the entire lens gets scrubbed off. You will have to do this for a couple of minutes. After about 6 or 7 minutes, we can do a little progress check. Get our paper towel and wipe off some of that cutting compound. You can see how the lens has come up much better already. The cutting compound combined with the pad has just stripped all of that oxidation right off. For stage 2, take the buffing pad. Again, put some compound paste on there. Rub it around to make sure that the pad is wet. And then rub it all over the lens to make sure that the lens is coated before you start firing it up. After about 5 minutes, get your paper towel again, clean off the surface and have an inspection to see how it's progressing. That looks pretty good. Like a brand new lens once again. Now we can move on to stage 3. When you've got all your overspray cleaned up, you're going to mask around the headlight here with masking tape, and then you're going to use plastic bags or bin liners to cover around the body so that no overspray from the clear coat goes anywhere on the body. On this vehicle, the headlight's quite easy to remove, so it will be quicker to remove it than spend the time masking up everywhere. And also the weather conditions are quite wet here at the moment, so it's not ideal for drying in the clear coat when it has to be left outside. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this lamp and then we can move on. So next stage now, before we can do the clear coat, is to use some of our rubbing alcohol and clean down the lens, making sure that none of the cutting compound or any oil or grease is on the lens before we go ahead and start coating it. Once you've got this done and you're sure that the lens is clean, you want to let it dry in and then give it a dry wipe just to make sure that there's absolutely no residue anywhere on the lamp. Once you've got your lens properly cleaned and grease free, you can now move on to stage 3, which is applying the clear coat. And this is where it goes horribly wrong in over 75% of cases. To start off, we get a nice even layer all the way across. Don't go too heavy with it. We'll start off one coat at a time. We're going to leave that to dry for about 30 minutes, then we're going to come back and see how it turns out. It's now an hour later, so let's have a look. Oh yes, as what happens to everybody who tries the clear coat method, the clear coat has a bad reaction. It's like all them cracks there. It'll either go cracked or it'll go cloudy. This lamp is as good as destroyed. When I had the idea for this video, I went onto YouTube to have a look and see what else was out there, and I just could not believe what I saw. In my 20 plus years on the tools, I've known a couple of guys who run their own body shops, extremely gifted at what they do. Never once have I seen them put sandpaper near a lens or put clear coat on a lens. And this is why. Every time it will react. And if you go ahead and look online for clear coat headlight restoration, read through some of the forums, you'll see that almost everybody has the same problem. This is actually the second test I did with this. The first test, it went completely cloudy, it reacted with the alcohol. The second test, I spent 3 to 4 hours wet sanding the lens back down to the condition that you saw it in before I did this second coat. Cleaned it with a pressure washer, soapy water, the whole lot, and it has reacted once again in the spider web pattern. The correct way to do headlight restoration is what you saw in steps 1 and 2. Cut down the surface of the lens with the pad and the cutting compound, and then buff it afterwards with the buffing head. This will take you about 15 minutes per light, 30 minutes in total to do both headlights. And here are some examples of that. This is the now 21-year-old Mark V Golf that featured in the last video, just cut and buffed. This is a 19-year-old Blob Eye Impreza, just cut and buffed, nothing more. And this is the other headlight of our test subject, the 2003 Forester, which is just cut and buffed, compared to the suggested online method. What do you guys think? 15 to 30 minutes, maybe once or twice a year, or 3 to 4 hours of sanding, with the risk that you'll have to buy a new light at the end of it all anyway? Let me know in the comments down below. I didn't mind writing off a headlight on this car because it's a donor, it's a scrapper. We're taking the 2-litre engine from it and fitting it into the Impreza in a forthcoming video, so I hope you'll join me for that. I also tried to film this in the same style as the people who suggest that you try this clear coat restoration method. So I hope you've enjoyed it, but I think we can safely say that the clear coat headlight restoration method is well and truly debunked. Do not try it, whatever you do. That would be my suggestion. So guys, I hope you've enjoyed this. Hope you found it informative. Thanks very much for joining me, and I'll see you in the next one.